All right, guys. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Sorry, guys. Having a little bit of audio issue here. All right, so welcome everybody to GitBit, the podcast for blurs and nerds and all those of the fandoms. If you have a fandom out here, ladies and gentlemen, then definitely this is the place for you. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan. Might be a little bit solo tonight, but that's okay. Things happen, and of course, hopefully if they do come on, the rest of the usual suspects, usual suspects. Okay. God got back at me for that one. If the rest of the usual suspects join on, it's cool. If not, hey, I understand. We'll ride this solo. Before we do get this started, guys, we do try to keep this as a family-friendly podcast, which means that, yes, sometimes we will talk about some things that might be a little on the risque side. We do try to watch our language on here as well because, like I said, it's family-friendly, and it looks like we got somebody. There he is. There's Joe.
Yep, sorry, was in the middle of a hunt.
You're good. And the Samoa Joe honoring Samoa Joe. Are we mourning?
No, we're celebrating.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. Okay. Well, Joe, of course, has been on here before, and of course, the guy I usually lean to for my comic book expertise.
No,
because
we're starting.
we're already live, dude. Joe is becoming more of a comic book connoisseur, if you will. A maitre d'. Think of the guy in John Wick that was basically doing the tasting. He's basically that guy.
Now, let's just call it what it is. I have a problem. I just recently bought literally half the entire run of Thunderbolts. I have a problem.
It's only a problem if you admit it.
Which I just did.
Well, that's step one. But anyway, we're not gonna get into. We're gonna leave that alone because I don't think that's personally a problem. I just think that's a hobby. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it because I know Joe. You and me, we usually go ahead and start with the bad. I personally will not go over Batwoman because this episode this week it just seems we just keep going downhill, and I don't want to sound like a broken record in saying that the story is convoluted. They're still over the whole Kate Kane thing, and it just, even with Black Mask being there as a baddie, it just doesn't seem like the Batwoman story is going anywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and just quickly sit there and say, everything that I said about Batwoman 2 weeks ago can really be applied now. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you feel differently about that, please let us know in the chat because I'm curious. I personally don't think it's going to get any better, but as of late, it just seems to just be honestly going downhill. I'm just being honest with you guys. But yeah, like I said before, I don't really want to harp on it too much just because, again, it's really no point. And at the same time, like I said, I guess CW is just holding out for hope, but it just doesn't really look like it's panning out too soon. But I did actually want to talk about another show, which again, I guess I shouldn't be surprised about The Flash. This episode, because they've honestly had 3 good solid episodes. Two good solid episodes. And I thought they were back on the right track with this week. But it was just, and Joe, I'm going to ask you how you felt about it. It was really all over the place as far as this episode goes. Because, I mean, the whole thing about the whole maternal thing with the Speed Force, of course, in the form of Barry's mom. And then, that whole, mom, you're kind of crowding my whole thing deal. And then the Killer Frost story, which seems to be on life support, basically. And on top of that, we're missing Cisco again. So it's like, does he pop in and out now in this entire season? Or is that just me? But I just felt like this episode to me it just fell flat. It felt like if this was anime, this is a filler episode. That's what it feels like. But what do you think, Joe?
Okay, Speed Force Mom is now Helicopter Speed Force Mom.
Pretty much.
I actually didn't mind the Killer Frost stuff. They're trying to further that, and we're going to see what kind of weird machinations this DA has for Killer Frost. We are introduced to, what's a good way of putting this? Wally's personal Captain Cold, which was Chilblain,
Yeah.
in the comics, made a really bad idea of screwing with Snart, and that just did not end well for him. It ends even poorly for him here, although Snart did much worse to him. But he's kind of like a... How do I say this without sounding horribly insulting to anything?
Very low brow. Who's the guy that plays Captain Cold?
He
Very
is
low
the
brow
brand
Whitwood
name
Miller.
Captain Cold.
Huh?
He is a value brand Captain Cold.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's that's how. I mean, you ain't wrong.
The whole thing with Cisco is, I guess he's just vibing around the place. I understand the actor wants to do less than serious, more power to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's why we have Chester, just to make sure we have the
tech / humor side, I guess.
Yeah, the pop culture mechanic.
And don't get me wrong, I like Chester, especially in the last episode. Like I said, the last episode reminded me of great writing from the first season of Flash, where it constantly hits you in the feels like a This Is Us episode. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that it was like that the first time, and now it's like, but to me, the whole episode just felt like filler. I'm like, okay, so we're in this lull spot of the Force Quest, story. I mean, we already know about Strength and Still and Sage. One has been captured. One is out and about. The other one seems to have plans to come back and wreak havoc again. So it just, I want to just say, not every episode of The Flash is going to be great. So I just chalked it up to that.
Yeah. As for Batwoman, I've completely dropped that series. I have instead taken on Kung Fu in its place.
I did watch that, I was gonna say, Joe, because you did kind of turn me on that. Because when I first saw Kung Fu and I was reading the subplot for it, because when I first saw Kung Fu, I was like, wait a minute, is this like the old 1990s action-packed Kung Fu with David Carradine? Which I thought was kind of heading that route. But when you sat there and said it reminded you of Jackie Chan's Adventures, I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And when I looked at it, I watched the first episode and the second episode, I was like, you know what? It's growing on me. I'm like, the first episode, I was like, oh, okay, it's not bad, but I understand the build up. And the second episode kind of solidified it. So I'm like, yeah, I think it's a decent series. But I love the fact that, I kind of wish what they did with Kung Fu, they should have done with Netflix's Iron Fist the first season, and whoever trained her should have trained the actor.
Well, the only bad thing I have to say about this is, of course, this is a CW show because there's immediately a love triangle, which is going to be
always apparent.
It goes exactly how you think it goes.
Of course.
The martial arts, while fantastically done, Kung Fu and Wushu.
Yeah.
We don't need to slow down. Just keep the speed. The better you keep up the speed, the better the Kung Fu looks.
Yeah, it's kind of like how the cinematography was in Ip Man, because Ip Man was full motion.
Ip Man and Lethal Weapon 4, when we first got our first introduction to Jet Li properly.
When that was that Fist of Legend Jet Li that just that striking power and that just full speed is, yeah.
Yeah, we learned that they were mostly slowing down the Kung Fu for us.
Yeah.
And then we see Jet Li's like, oh, he's so fast. Like, no, that's what it normally looks like.
Mm-hmm. And just the fact that his speed, him and Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung and Donnie Yen, I'm like, I can go down the whole list of martial arts masters that they have to slow down to see the strike. That is something else.
So for those of you who have not watched this is the adventures of... God, what is her name? Something Shen.
Yeah.
And she has to go on a mystical journey with her 3 siblings because her mom's been keeping secrets. And they got to go find 8 mythical weapons. Not 12 little totems, but 8 mythical weapons.
I kind of wanted to sit there and say the whole time, like, I understand WB and CW are very close, but that's all. It's like, aren't y'all kind of riding the line just a little bit?
We don't have a Jade where we keep going, no Jade.
I keep waiting for that. One more thing. I keep waiting for that line to pop up somewhere.
We need her to say, "I'm sorry, I will bring it back later. Thank you."
Mm-hmm. Because I kept waiting for the father to go, one more thing, and I'm like, that's it, I'm done. That's where the lawsuit's gonna come into place.
But I actually really enjoyed this. It's what I am going to start watching instead of Batwoman. I'm sorry if that interrupts the flow, but
no, I
just can't do it anymore.
No, I said the same thing about Gotham. I wrote it out to the end and still had to report about it. So I know for me, I'm just going to keep. I have learned that with the next episodes going forward, if they're worth talking about, I'll talk about them. If they're not worth talking about, repeat what I said last week because. Yeah, it's just I'll just sit there and say, you know what happened to my view on Batwoman hasn't changed. Move on. So we'll just go from there. Of course, there wasn't a Superman Lois. I had to explain it to somebody. They were like, where happened to Superman Lois? Well, they're on hiatus till May 18th. Why?
COVID interrupted the production run.
Pretty much. I said COVID, like Mother Nature, is undefeated. It has slowed down many a thing. I mean, don't believe me? Look at Black Widow. They just now decided that Black Widow's gonna be on Premier Access on Disney Plus. They have finally gave up about putting Black Widow in the movie theaters, which is kind of interesting because nowadays Warner Brothers is trying to get people going to movie theaters, especially with Mortal Kombat coming out next week. But if you have HBO Max like I do, I'm watching it from home.
So did they ever explain why they just miraculously bumped it from the 16th to the 23rd, or did they just like...
They bumped it because they felt like I don't know, something else was being released at the time, and they didn't want it to coincide with it. They wanted to basically have a weekend to itself. I'm not sure what else was being... I'm not sure what else was being released on the 16th. I was thinking Nobody, but Nobody is very selectful as far as on demand and on YouWatch. So I thought maybe that was the movie because I still want to watch Nobody. Because
the Nevers?
Say what? The Nevers? Well,
the Nevers?
The Nevers was Sunday, which I still have to go back and go recap. I need to go watch The Nevers because someone said that was pretty good. I have I have to go back and go watch that on HBO on HBO. But I forgot something else was on the 16th that came out. And it basically, and then Warner Bros. Was like, you know what? We want Mortal Kombat to have a weekend to itself. 23rd it is. So yes, speaking of Mortal Kombat, I'm looking forward, just to give us a break between the television shows. And Mortal Kombat coming out next Friday. I am looking forward to it. I still believe in the classic, not Annihilation. We don't count Annihilation to me is canon.
We count Annihilation. That is fantastic stuff.
We are not.
No, you know exactly what you're going into with the first 5 minutes of that movie? That is wonderful stuff.
It's just, I will take the first Mortal Kombat and be happy with that. Annihilation just made me just go, who directed this? Yul Boll?
No, this is that Annihilation is a beautiful train wreck.
Yeah, that's the best way to put that, a beautiful train wreck. Because that's exactly what it was, especially with that aminality.
It does have a really good soundtrack, though.
True.
Annihilation has an amazing soundtrack.
Oh, absolutely. I still actually use that for my workouts. But still, the whole idea of just... I mean, I'm not mad about Cyrax looking exactly like I hoped he would look like, and then Jax getting the arm implants. Okay, I can live with that too. But, the arm implants are supposed to be literally the arm implants. Not like not like armor, which is, I was just like, so Montaro just ripped it off and then beat you with it? It's just, I'm like, make it make sense, Lord. So I was like, come on. And then Sonya, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not, okay, here's my thing. Well, I mean, the original Mortal Kombat to me was like what was that, Street Fighter? 1988 Street Fighter, with Raw Julia as M. Bison, which by the way is still one of my iconic roles in a terrible video game movie, but Raw Julia as M. Bison is still my favorite role to watch.
Of course.
I mean, the guy made it great. I mean, the fact of the matter that he just told Chun-Li, honestly, the most boss speech to ever be recited. And then, of course, Jean-Claude Van Damme playing Guile, which I still think is funny. An Austrian playing an American. Figure that one out. And, of course, which again, like I said, it was cheesy? Yes. Was it cheesy? Absolutely. Was it over the top? Yes. But we expect this out of video games. I mean, look at Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers with John Leguizamo and the other guy that I think Dennis, what was his name? Was it Haskins that played Mario? I know John Leguizamo played Luigi. I think Dennis Haskins.
Oh, John Hopkins? John Hoskins?
Yeah, there we go. That's the word. That's the name I was looking for. He played Mario. But it's just, I mean, it was good and terrible. I can't lie, but it's still fun. It's still, because let's be honest. We've been hoping every time a movie comes out.
Bob Hoskins.
Say what? Bob Hoskins? Okay.
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, because he was also in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I mean, we also have Optimus Prime. He played Mario during the Donkey Kong cartoons.
That is also true. So it's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, because I said we've had a history of not Mortal Kombat. We've had a history of video game movies out there, and we've all of them been cheesy. I mean, even I would say the most interesting video game movie or video game heavy movie out there or influence, aside from Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Ready Player One. That was all video games. And don't get me wrong, Steven Spielberg did a great retelling of the book. The book itself is great. If you ever have the chance to read Ready Player One, you really should, because Ready Player Two is going to be great as well. I actually can't wait to read that book. I still haven't done it yet.
No, I have read that book. I will say the first couple chapters are a little hard to get through, but once you get into it, it gets much better.
Okay.
Just the first 2 to 3 chapters are really rough.
Like, are we talking Game of Thrones rough, or are we talking like the prequel?
It's one of those, they make the pop culture reference, then explain what the reference is ad nauseum. Oh,
wow. Okay, fair enough. All right, well, that gives me something to look forward to. But getting back to Mortal Kombat though, I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to it, Joe. I know if you're like me, you're a Mortal Kombat fan. You're looking forward to it on Friday. Aside from the story, and then we'll move on to the rest of the news. The story did deviate a little bit, just because they've sat there and are introducing a character that's not really part of the Mortal Kombat lore, per se.
What are you talking about? I played Cole Young since Mortal Kombat 1.
Really? I mean, don't get me wrong. I like that idea. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, that's what I said before. We went the Liu Kang route. There's nothing wrong with Liu Kang. I mean, the story goes Liu Kang did beat Shang Tsung. We understand that. He also beat Goro. We also understand that. But it's nice to actually see a Mortal Kombat story being told from a different perspective, because last time we saw something like that, it was back on the N64, Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Mythology?
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
You didn't like it?
Not with the jump in fission in collision physics in that game, God no.
I actually like mythology. I like Sub-Zero mythologies. Now, there was that one boss in the tower that was OP, and
I'm not talking about the tower. I'm talking about the swinging jumps.
Yeah. You couldn't. The mechanics are all. You had a. If you're like me, you don't like platform jumping?
No, I love platform jumping when the platform jumping works.
Well, I mean, it's in 64.
I did mine on the PlayStation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got cutscenes.
I mean, nothing wrong with playing Sub-Zero Mythology on PlayStation. I played on N64, but then again, I was more ticked off about the story that, the Lin Kuei got easily duped. That was still mad at me. How do you get duped by Quan Chi of all people?
So we already can kind of guess that this ride-along character is pretty much Sub-Zero 2, right?
Give or take. I agree. I'm going to be honest with you, because at first I thought, okay, when they said his name was Cole, I said, okay, so he's not Lin Kuei, he's not Shirai Ryu, he's not White Lotus. I mean, so it's like whatever he's associated with, it's not of the norm. And plus, they're introducing Arcana, which is kind of interesting. They're using Arcana because the only two references to Arcana in Mortal Kombat was actually in Shaolin monks and a little excerpt in Deadly Alliance. That was the only 2 times the word Arcana was ever mentioned in Mortal Kombat. So I'm gonna be kind of curious to see how that goes personally. But to me, I'm looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it. And also Nobody. Nobody is not for kids. Nobody is a great movie. Don't get me wrong. Saw the guy Bob Odenkirk. If you don't know who Bob Odenkirk is, he was the guy. He was the lawyer in Breaking Bad. And of course, had his own spinoff in Better Call Saul.
Longtime comedic writing partner with Judd Apatow and Conan O'Brien.
Yeah. So for all those that don't know, like Nobody is definitely good. It is definitely better not bring your kids. This would be like, to give an idea of what Nobody's like if John Wick had a family and was trying to quit.
Really? I took it as John Wick meets UHF.
I can see that. I honestly can see that. But I mean, I love the movie. It's just that, someone said oh, it's like John Wick's for kids. Number one, who lets their kids watch John Wick? I would have to seriously question somebody's parenting. It's like, oh, my kid watches John Wick and they're fine. Do they got a locked door? Because you need to start checking on that. They start wearing all black. You need to be concerned immediately. But for all those who are adults, Nobody is definitely good. I highly recommend that. What else did we get to? Oh, yes, they talked about God of War Ragnarok and the fact that there is a certain date in 2021 that is coming up. And this is a little bit of gaming news that I have. If you're like me, you like God of War, which was the remake on the PS5 about a few years ago. I loved it. Santa Monica Studios did an awesome job with God of War, and they left it open-ended. And they did that way on purpose because, again, this was supposed to be a one-shot deal. They just need to see how it would work. And they left it open-ended just to see, like, okay, we're going to bring another movie, we're going to bring another video game. Because Kratos, for all those that never played God of War before, spoiler alert, I'm about to tell you the ending. Because at the ending, they do go to Jotunheim, which is the land of the giants, and they come across certain tapestry. The tapestry shows that Kratos, sometime in the near future, dies, and his son, Atreus, who also we know now is Loki, gives birth to the World Serpent. So we do know sometime down the line that Kratos will die. But at the very end of God of War, we see Kratos literally square up with Thor. And Thor is kind of PO'd because, well, in the game, you kind of killed his son and his brothers. So you can imagine he's not going to come with the most nicest of terms. But basically what's going on is, like I said before, if you've been paying attention to God of War, and especially Santa Monica Studios, they have been tweeting out 2021 as a date. Now, again, the rumor mill has happened. Are we going to see a game? Are we going to see a demo? Or things of that nature. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't think we're going to see a demo anytime soon because Resident Evil Village is just around the corner. And Santa Monica Studios does not want to compete with Capcom because Resident Evil 8 Village is going to be an attraction to itself, especially with the showcase that I believe they're having. I remember posting this. The showcase that they're going to be having tomorrow. So they're actually going to show another trailer, another playable demo, and the rumor is about Resident Evil Village is that there will be a playable demo that'll be that you can download for PS4 and PS5 owners. So that's going to be cool too. But
doing another showcase the day 2 days after.
Yeah, I think they did one on the 15th, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, they're doing one on the 17th.
I know they're releasing the first of the demos tomorrow.
Yeah, that's gonna be tomorrow. So the demo for I want to say I have it in front of me. I think the demo release for the PS5 is happening first, and then PS4 is happening later on. So if you're lucky enough to have a PS5, first off, you lucky ducks. Second of all, if you're like me and you're gonna hold on to a PS4, don't fret. We will get a demo coming to us. Unfortunately, this is just a sign of the times that eventually we're all going to have to go to a PS5. I mean, don't get me wrong, PS4 maybe has another 4 or 5 years of system life until they start cycling that out. I mean, if you really want to be honest with you, they just now talked about closing the PS Store for PS3s. Now that should tell you something. They are now getting to that point, which was also what I was going to say before I hand off to Joe, was that if you have a PS3, and especially if you have the backwards compatibility one, now would be the good time to upgrade your hard drive and go to your PS Now and go ahead and go on the PlayStation Now and download your games, because once they close down the store for PS3, you won't be able to go back and re-download those. And trust me, if you're like me, I got a crap load of games on my PS3 because I upgraded mine to a 1 terabyte solid state. So I'm just telling you guys. I mean, you guys have been warned for your PS3 owners, but that just goes to show you about Sony and that they, the game of life systems that they keep on there is really impressive. But no, for God of War, like I said before, I speculate we will probably get something, if not by June, by July. Just because if they're keeping up with Ragnarok, and the funny part is this is me doing a little bit of learning today about Norse mythology, that they guess that Ragnarok would have happened around the our calendar time of somewhere between July and August. So if Santa Monica Studios decides that they want to release something about Ragnarok in this year, then it would have to happen between July and August. So if anything, you got a capture net there of what we'll see from that. But the other game I did want to mention, Outriders. I would say this after playing the campaign.
You guys are having a rough time, aren't you?
What's that?
With Outriders. You guys are just having a rough right now.
I mean, at first for me, the campaign took me a little over 4 days to beat because I was doing it solo. The thing about Outriders, I did not know about this because I didn't play it on launch day. I did not realize the amount of server issues that were happening. Like on launch day, a lot of people who were playing Outriders on day one were having major issues signing in. And if you were signed in, you got kicked out. It was kind of like how Destiny was when it first launched by Bungie. Everybody was getting the raccoon and the beaver and all that crap. And they were getting those trouble codes, and of course, Bungie's like, "Well, check your internet," and we're like, "No, check your internet servers. It ain't us." So, I mean, for me, I didn't run into that issue when I was playing Outriders. Don't get me wrong, I did love the fact that it was a looter shooter, and it depended a lot upon powers. The only thing I will say about Outriders is just that it seemed to be kind of linear, like they didn't want to take too many chances with it. So it's like you had like 3 paths you can do, which was fire, devastator, which was actually just fire, just up close, and long range. And it just felt like once you stuck to a path, you really couldn't change it. Like you had to actually create different characters to experience different powers. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you think for a campaign there should be a little bit more leniency, but no, Joe, I didn't run into any issues as far as playing. It's just gameplay was somewhat smooth, but the end all of the campaign, I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. The end of the campaign, the campaign for it annoyed me, because story wise it made no sense. I mean, it really did. I sat here. I mean, I completed it last night, right? Completed it last night. Watched the ending schematics of the campaign. I'm just like, that's it. I did all that for this. I mean, it just left. You know how some things leave you with a sense of accomplishment? I had none. I was more annoyed at the end than I was at the beginning. But on a good note, my Monster Hunter Rise is downloading on my Switch tonight, so I'll be able to play that. So I'm looking forward to that kind of thing.
Oh, good. I can help you out tomorrow.
Oh, that's cool. But before we get to but that's really all the game news that we have for this, guys. I did want to let Joe get his comic book recommendations out the way before we go into Falcon the Winter Soldier, because there is a lot that we're going to go into on that.
There's a lot to unpack on that one.
Yeah, so Joe, before we my voice is going. So before we actually go into Falcon and Winter Soldier, any comic recommendations this week?
Yeah, we got a couple. First off, we do have some comic book news. Mm-hmm. We have the new official lineup of the upcoming X-Men comic, which is going to be dropping in July.
Okay.
This is to coincide with the second phase of Hickman's X-Men run, known as Reign of X.
Okay.
So the team is Cyclops and Jean Grey. Wolverine, but it is Laura Kinney. Laura Kinney is retaking the name Wolverine.
Okay.
Polaris won that giant vote, so Polaris is now officially part of the team of X-Men. Well, let me rephrase that. This is her second time being a mainline X-Men player. She was an X-Man in Superior X-Men during the Time Displaced run.
Okay.
Rogue and Sync and Sunfire.
That's a name I hadn't heard in a while.
Yep. Sunfire, we're going to see how long it takes Sunfire to just leave.
Right.
For those that do not know, Sunfire was a very, very proud Japanese man who considered himself to be more Japanese than he was mutants.
He made Silver Samurai look Amish.
He was very imperialistic, which is just, the Japanese fear of the 80s.
Yeah. Was
kind of played into that. So we're going to see how he plays out now. Sync, for those that don't know, he's kind of similar to Rogue, except the fact that he does not need direct touch and he can use multiple powers at once.
Okay.
For example, the image showing his left hand is using magnetism, his right hand is using psychic powers, and he's using Cyclops' eye beams all at once.
Nice.
Wolverine, we don't need. Laura Kinney is just Laura. I've talked about Tom Taylor's run with Laura enough as it is, an all new, all different Wolverine. She's fantastic. I'm really interested what they're going to do with Rogue, because Rogue is one of the big frontrunners with Excalibur.
It might be a different arc, but I'll wait for judgment until I read it.
All right, that's comic book news. Actual comic books recommendations: Marauders number 19. This is continuing a story going on. I know you're probably reading Marauders, so yeah. I'll just go with...
I was saying...
Huh?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Greedy land developers are trying to take over Lowtown and Madripoor using Reavers. For those of you that don't know, Reavers are usually a bad thing for mutants.
Yeah.
However, mutants cannot interfere because international law says since they're their own recognized country, they're not U.S. citizens, they would be violating their own thing of, we leave you alone, you leave us alone.
Pretty much.
So, what do the mutants do to help save Madripoor? Because Madripoor is kind of one of those very few places in the world that's a mutant haven. Mm-hmm. Other than Australia, they send in the Morlocks. And some of the Morlocks really just don't want to go, like...
Some?
Huh?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's, God, who is it? Mask, I think, is the one that can shake flesh.
Yeah.
Was having a really nice time as a doctor. He's like, I don't care. I don't want to go. And, of course, Cliff's like, so they're tearing apart the hospital. He's like, fine, I'll go. So they have Hump, Brute, Bliss, and Marrow.
Oh, God.
So, no, they actually do a really good job. Hump and Brute just kind of look like really off-colored versions of the Hulk in this version.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, they're kind of weird. They look like a lime green and a dark green versions of Hulk with different colored hair. It's weird.
So it's Hulk with Instagram filters. Nice.
Yeah, pretty much. So the whole reason why they're sending the Morlocks is because no one really ever seen the Morlocks, period, because they were sewer dwellers.
Right. So
when they start popping up in Madripoor, people just think they're sewer monsters. It just doesn't click with them that they're mutants. And then... by the end of the book, they save Madripoor, of course, and it's like, yeah, we got to stop you. We got to stop you. And Mask's like, we got to protect the hospital. And one of the Reavers like, no, our orders were actually to leave all the hospitals alone.
Dang.
Mask is just like, son of a Callisto.
Wow. Okay.
And then, of course, Lowtown is being renamed Muty Town now, which is only mildly offensive.
Yeah.
And the Asian family that Kitty had been helping is now running one of the bars, probably the Princess's Bar, as that keeps popping up in Madripoor.
Ah, okay.
But they're running it with Marrow.
That's gonna be interesting. That's interesting indeed.
Mm-hmm. So that's Marauders. Mm-hmm. We got two more. We got a What If, because What If is now an imprint.
Right.
So we have Chip Zdarsky, Spider-Man Spider's Shadow, which is taking a look at his time with the mutant suit. But the What If is, what if Pete kept the suit?
Oh.
The answer is things go very darkly, very quick.
I was gonna say that's part of that, like Spider-Man. What was that Spider-Man game? Shattered Time.
No, you're thinking Web of Shadows.
Yeah, with the Dark Spider-Man ending.
Yeah, so I won't spoil all the book. Let's just say, as a result of Peter keeping the costume, some villains die and some Spider-Man family die in the first issue.
Oh, so we're going Superior Spider-Man. We're going Superior Spider-Man when Doc Ock realized something.
God bless Chip Zdarsky, because he is also slipping in some of the lines from the animated series Spider-Man.
Okay.
So Pete's saying some stuff like he's yelling at the top of his lungs and Hobgoblin is supposed to shock her.
I know exactly the line you're talking about. That's the sad part.
No, he's not saying that line, but he is uttering lines from that episode. Just not, I'm going to chase it to the ends of the earth.
Oh, man.
As I said, Spider-Man villains and Spider-Man family do not make it out of this first episode as a result of Peter keeping this suit.
Oh, the body count's going to be high.
He has not turned into Venom, but it's very greatly hinted at as a result of it.
Oh, so it's borderline Venom.
Oh, yeah. No, it's borderline Venom. We're seeing a mouth form slowly over the course of the issue. We see the spider slowly become the Venom spider.
Ah, so so what would happen if he got the suit? Well, at least not Carnage. Carnage or Riot. Actually, no, Riot's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a 4-issue mini. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then last recommendation is Venom 199 Legacy Legacy numbering 199 issue Venom 34 by Donny Cates. Mm-hmm. This is one of the final parts of King in Black. I really do commend King in Black. The main title is just the fight with Null.
I actually have to go back and read that series.
And all the tie-in issues are the fallout of what's going on around the main fight.
Okay.
I will say the main fight is pretty cool because he literally takes Mjolnir from Thor, takes Silver Surfer's board, fuses them into a giant Venom axe.
Wow.
And then Thor's like, what? And Silver's just like, well, this is cool. I'm fine with this.
I'm laughing because, it brings up the question of how he was able to take Mjolnir and merge it with the Cosmic Surfboard.
Well, because he's wielding the power of the Enigma Force. He's the symbiote. Venom is the symbiote of light, and he has the Enigma Force.
Which basically gives him...
he's directly opposing the King in Black. But that's King in Black. This issue, we're focusing upon Venom and a anti-Venom dragon, which actually turns out is Flash Thompson. So Flash died a while ago, about 2 years ago now, taking out Carnage, who was the Red Goblin, which was Carnage symbiote fused with Norman Osborn.
I have to go back and go read that. I never read King in Black, but now I'll have to go back and go read that.
So at the end of the issue, Eddie tells the symbiote, the anti-Venom dragon, go to Flash Thompson's grave, you'll know what to do. Because how symbiotes work is all their previous owners have a codex.
Yeah.
That's their personality. You know that much.
Yeah.
So he has his symbiote tell the anti-Venom symbiote, which has also been worn by Eddie Brock. All right, Flash, go to your grave. You know what to do.
Yeah.
So after the anti-Venom dragon kills a whole host of Venom dragons, He dives into the grave, and Flash Thompson's back.
Basically, resurrected him.
Yeah.
He resurrected
Likely
him.
as Agent Anti-Venom.
Okay, I'm going to go read that because I have questions. I have questions that we will not be able to get to in this podcast, so I'm just going to go back and go read that because that I'm going to add that to my list. But no.
And then the next issue is issue 200 of Venom. It's also the final issue of Donny Cates' run on Venom.
Okay.
We're going to be seeing the guy who's writing Alien right now, and Superman is going to be the new author for Venom. Which is good because he's already writing a lot about fathers and sons, and Eddie's son Dylan is thrown into the mix. This got said on Comic Pop. I really like this idea of either Eddie's like, I got to deal with this Venom thing because now I'm the new King in Black as a result of this thing.
Right.
Can you raise my son with Mary Jane?
Oh, not the sort of.
Mary Jane's like, no.
He tried to go on. He tried to go on.
No, he didn't try to go on. This is just what we're thinking issue 200 is going to be.
Okay.
Or Pete was like, so I have this aunt who can raise children and make them good people.
Oh, God.
Hey, May, you want to raise Venom Jr.?
Oh, God. That's just going to go horribly. Now I'm going to go back and go. I had to go back and go read that
you
now.
should. The Donny Cates run of Venom has been nothing short of fantastic.
Yeah, I'll have to.
As soon as it finishes out in trade, I'm picking it all up.
Nice. I'm definitely going to go back and go read it because I got questions. But anyway, I'm going to leave that alone because I don't want to keep going with that.
One thing, this is something in Flash I wanted to talk about. They did have a very nice tribute to Mike Waringo where they were at Waringo Mills.
Yeah.
Mike Waringo was a artist on The Flash during the Wally period. He's known for the chisel chin Wally, the giant block, the big chin Wally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he unfortunately passed away at the young age of 44, but it was nice that they paid homage to him. I just wanted to bring up they paid homage to him because he did really good work.
Oh, that's cool.
I did not really like giant chin Wally, but the rest of the art was very well done.
Well, I mean, every artist has got to have their distinguishing features on the characters.
Yeah, he also notably did Spider-Boy during Amalgam Universe. He drew Avengers 400. He did Adventures of Superman, Robin, Justice League Quarterly, which explains so much about Booster Gold during that era.
What's wrong with Booster Gold?
That's where we got the book.
What's wrong with Booster Gold? I'm sorry. Go continue. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. That's all I got. I just wanted to say, it's like, hey, they made a very, very sweet homage to him.
Cool. I'm glad. Well, you know, artists should really get the respect and flowers they're due to deserve. But with that being said, we are going to go ahead and go like Invincible. Invincible, like I said, we'll talk about that because that's really kind of short. But we have to get to the main course of this podcast because we have to get to Falcon and Winter Soldier. And the reason why we're getting to Falcon and Winter Soldier because after the most disrespectful ass whooping, I'm like they had the nerve in episode 5 to recap it of this disrespectful ass whooping that the Dora Milaje did on Walker. Only to come back to him. Of course, Walker. Battlestar was dead. I have to retract my previous statement from last week. Battlestar is definitely dead. Which John Walker at the time decided to take his shield as a chopping block and use it on a flash smasher in public. And of course, the trailer that we saw when you saw Bucky and Sam and you saw Walker all together. We thought that would happen a little bit later in the episode. Turns out Marvel said, gotcha, we gonna make that the first 10 minutes. And the battle itself was interesting. I did like the fact of it was kind of symbolic that yes, Walker is now on the altered superhero serum, super soldier serum, and he's literally fighting both of them. Rips off Sam's wings off his flight suit. Knocked Bucky unconscious to where the arm was moving by itself. But at the end of it all, I mean, they did get the shield back, and it kind of goes from there as far as Of course, Walker being, stripped of the Captain America role and title. And then I'm actually going to allude to something you put out on Facebook, but I think I might have spoiled it when I said it.
I know who he is. No, I hit your comment.
That's always like, I didn't think about what he said. I was like, crap, I kind of just spoiled it. And when I heard her say Contessa, I was like, she's Madam Hydra. I was like, she's Madam freaking Hydra. Which again... Go ahead.
Now, unfortunately, this is kind of a bad thing because we were supposed to first be introduced to her in the Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
But, here works too because that means we definitely know we are slowly rolling towards an actual Captain America event.
Yeah. Actually, there's 3 I'm thinking of. There's three events that could fit that for Madam Hydra.
Now, if she's already courting John Walker, we're heading towards Secret Empire.
Yeah.
That, or she is also a Skrull agent, and we're heading towards Secret Invasion, which we already know we're heading towards Secret Invasion.
Right, we already know
we just don't know who the players are. So, we're either heading with John Walker towards Secret Empire, where Hydra tries to take over.
Yeah.
And John Walker is Hydra Cap. Or we're heading towards this Contessa being a Skrull and recruiting John Walker for the Skrull Empire to have their Captain America.
I would probably say because of the way Marvel's kind of heading towards Secret Invasion, I'm going to lean toward the latter. Because I first sat there and said, if John Walker's next outfit is not black and red, because I feel them wanting to throw in the U.S. agent. I feel they want to do that. And you can kind of tell just because of the fact of course, him being him being dishonorably discharged. They didn't say dishonorably, but let's be honest, he got dishonorably discharged. The shield, of course, was in Sam's possession, and you can kind of see that dark side come out when Contessa's like, "Well, he's like, well, you're gonna do 3 good. You're gonna do 3 good things. I'm gonna call. You're gonna pick up the phone. And I'm gonna change your life. Here's my card." And just walks off. And I'm like, so are we about to see a dark side U.S. agent? I was like, and don't get me wrong, I would love to see that because we already know Walker at this point feels like he's rejected. He already is in that spot where he just feels like he's going to do whatever needs to be done. And now he's a man basically without a country. And I'm like, this has all the setup of a Sith in the making. It's like,
so what is a dark side U.S. agent? Because that's literally just U.S. agent.
Well, I mean, from a Disney standpoint, because Disney is very careful when it comes to not going full dark side. Like again with the Captain America with him killing the guy in the previous episode, you don't really see the motion, but you kind of see this kind of direction of them kind of showing it without showing it. So I kind of think they're going to do the same thing because, of course, we can't go the U.S. agent from the comics because of questionable actions.
For those of you that want to see what actually U.S. agent is, please go see John Cena's Peacemaker.
You ain't wrong.
Anything for justice.
You ain't wrong.
Okay, the other thing I want to point out before we get into the really heavy stuff, because there's a lot of really heavy stuff, is we also start seeing the birth of the second Falcon with Joaquin Torres. Sam just handing off the suit to him, basically.
Yes, and I wanted to see the... I'm sorry, I was about to cuss. I wanted to see the wings. I was like, if this is the one where it's Wakanda-influenced suit, I was like, oh, please be what I think it is. But of course, I love the way they drug that out. Bucky goes back to Dora Milaje after they come and collect Zemo and take him to the raft, which I thought was interesting that they sat there and said they're going to take him to the raft. I thought they would take him back to Wakanda for judgment, but who knew?
Okay, so am I confusing myself with the animated series, or did we already see the raft once?
We did see the raft. We saw the raft. We saw the raft in Civil War.
Okay, thank you. I was like, did I see the raft, or am I thinking Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes?
No. We saw the raft. We saw the raft in Civil War when the post the battle in Germany. So
okay.
That was the raft. So we definitely did see it. I thought it was weird that Dora Milaje was like, well, we'll take him to the raft where he will spend the rest of his days there. I'm like, Y'all don't want to take him back to Wakanda? That's what I thought they were gonna do. I was like, you're gonna answer for killing our king. So it's like, you think they would take him back there, but it's like, okay, we're not. And then on top of that, Bucky, had the good sense to sit there and say, hey, I need one more favor. And of course, I love the fact of, okay, you already knew when he said it, it's gonna be revolving around Sam's suit. And Sam, of course, and don't get me wrong, I love the whole thing. Like what's made the show, aside from Baron Zemo episodes where he was talking like, semi evil genius, yes, semi relationship expert was also funny. But it's
he's many things in the Thunderbolts comic.
Yeah, I mean, as Citizen B, yeah, you're right. But it's just basically, if I said aside from him, what's really made the Falcon and the Winter Soldier great was the fact of just the camaraderie between Bucky and Sam. Like, it's always plays like, we're not partners, we're co-workers. Yeah, we work together, but you can call me if you need help. It's like, okay, cool. I was like, so we're doing Lethal Weapon? Are we doing Lethal Weapon 1 where it's just like, we're not really friends, we're just co-workers. And I like the fact of Bucky saying hi to Sam's sister, and Sam just gives him Sam gave him the death stare.
I like that stare he gives him.
Sam gave him the death stare like, really, Bucky? Really? I mean, my own sister? He says, what? I'm just saying hi. He says, don't flirt with my sister, man. But I do love the fact of just them finally having that talk. That was the one thing, like, I'm not going to lie, for this to be, 8 episodes? Why did episode 5 feel like... It felt like the end of the series. It really did. It's like...
Well,
go ahead.
Look at it this way. Episode 5 is the beginning of the 3rd act.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Carly the Flag Smasher is still out there. She has even more help now.
Which she still doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
I mean, it's an interest. You're right, because I was more interested in Madam Hydra when she came into play. That kind of got my attention. But it's like in Carly's case, it's like that's probably the only fatal flaw of the show is where her
Asian-looking dude is either going to die because of her and cause her to rethink something, or she is going to kill him and go full villain.
I say she's gonna kill him and go full villain. She's already she's probably gonna go full villain because the seeds are there. She's already.
I like that we're gonna get a rematch with Sam and Batroc the Leaper, the longest surviving Marvel villain there is.
I was gonna say Tuck, but that's Netflix. Never mind. That's Netflix Marvel. He doesn't count. But you're right though, Bartok the Leaper. I mean, I love that guy, the character he plays. So it's gonna be interesting that they're gonna have another rematch. I did like the aerial battle they had. That was actually awesome. But Sam now coming to grips with wanting to take the shield, realizing that he has to be Captain America now. I'm looking forward to seeing how the suit's gonna look. I mean, they could go the first version of his suit, the blue and white with the actual red feather suit, and could go that route. They could go with a more modern version post Civil War II. It kind of depends. I'm looking forward to it, but the fact of Bucky again is kind of playing like the Incredible Hulk with the hanging on the highway, just drifting through. I'm like, it's like I said, episode 5 just felt like it was like, what are we building up to at this point? Because now all you have left is Walker at the end of the episode, which, by the way, there are post-credit scenes. I know we should have gave a spoiler warning before we first started this, but oh well, now. But Walker at the end, you can see him putting together a shield. And you're right. I think that's gonna be interesting, because if he does come out as U.S. agent, will the shield still be red, black? Will the shield be really red and blue and white, or will it be black?
I think it was red, blue, and white already. So that means, like, I don't know, they're gonna chip off all the blue paint or
It'll
something,
be interesting,
because his shield is supposed to be red, white, and black.
Yeah. So I can only think that either that or maybe the first outing he just decides that I'm gonna shed everything about Captain America and actually be better than him kind of thing. And I guess that's where the red, white, and black will come from. Maybe. But overall,
red, white, and black.
I mean, it could be.
I was trying to transition into Isaiah Bradley. Red, white, and black.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, it just dawned on me just now. And I did like. Oh yeah, speaking of him, the other connection in the episode was that too. Was the fact that Sam went back and of course he went back and actually got the full story and said, out of all the soldiers they experimented on, they couldn't figure out why it worked for him. And it kind of led into the story in the comics. Of course, takes Captain America's suit and goes to fight off, and tries to explain the whole prison detail from that side. But I just like the fact it was a nice. It wasn't a wrap up, but it kind of told Sam it's like it's kind of almost like looking in the mirror like I was like you one time. I wanted to be Captain America. They kind of gave that real life realism. He's like, they'll never want someone like you as Captain America. And it kind of was like, I like that little bit of realism because, of course, this is don't get me wrong, this is Isaiah Bradley's story, and it does go dark because let's be honest, if you don't know that story, there are some dark stories in Captain American history. So I like the fact that they highlighted it and didn't have to go into it. But again, I'm just curious what episode 6 is going to be because that fight scene between all three of them was awesome. And of course, now he's getting used to throwing the shield around was actually kind of fun to watch. I'm not gonna let that whole montage of him working out and throwing the shield and getting used to moving like Chris Evans' character was. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I am looking forward to seeing like what I mean. Aside from that, and also Sharon Carter is the power broker. Let's just be honest. I think at this point we can admit this. Because I'm like, how do you go from dismissed, dishonored FBI former SHIELD agent, now you're the power broker, and you can tell she is because she's calling shots. So I'm like, correct me if I'm wrong if you think differently, but I think she's the power broker.
I mean, unless something happens dramatically. We know Sharon's, if anything, we at least know Sharon's up there, but she probably is. The moment she said, well, I have some satellites, like, all right, well, you're the power broker.
Oh, yeah, she's the one pulling the strings. And don't get me wrong, I like that setup.
Unless the twist is that Elaine is actually also the power broker on top of Madam Hydra.
Ooh. Madam Hydra was a woman of many roles. So I mean that's not beyond the realm of possibility. But either way, though, like I said, I like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was awesome, and just really looking forward to the next episode. But then again, Marvel/Disney seems to have that effect on everything they're doing right now. It's how they got us with WandaVision because we kept on speculating the entire time Mephisto or Nightmare were going to show up. Which probably both of them will show up in Multiverse of Madness. Let's just be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them showed up there. And the same thing with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which kind of sets up. It kind of sets up for other movies as well. So just like WandaVision kind of set up for Captain Marvel 2. Like we now know that we may see Photon in Captain Marvel 2, and that might explain the whole rift between her and Captain Marvel. So. Again, the Disney Plus television series that they're putting out are just spreading the seeds for the next phase. If only DC could learn this tale.
No, they've already freely admitted one of the writers freely admitted there was no plan.
In DC or Marvel? Which one? I'm sorry.
In DC, they freely admitted there was no plan.
Oh, that sounds about right. When it comes to DC, just. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to harp on DC because, like I said, I'm a DC fan. I love. If you've seen my Facebook and Instagram, I have multiple shirts, especially when I wear during workouts. Like currently, I have on my Captain America shirt, but I definitely do have a Green Lantern shirt, a Batman shirt, a Superman. I am a fan of DC, but just like many things I love, I don't want to be toxic because there's already too many toxic fans out there. I want DC to be on the same level as Marvel when it comes to cinematic universes. The problem with DC is there's no plan, there's no great storytelling. You have plenty of people that can do great casting. I mean, Gail Gadot as Wonder Woman, I love that. Henry Cavill Superman, I love that. Ben Affleck playing Batman grew on me. I'll admit that. I love that too. Ezra Miller playing Flash, okay. I admit it took me a while. it took me a while to kind of accept that. And of course, Jason Momoa playing Aquaman. I'm like, cool. But I say this before DC. I know my podcast is small, DC. But if you or your executives ever hear of this, from a DC fan standpoint, just give us a story. There's so many great long-standing stories in DC that involve multiple DC heroes and villains. You can use that to build up the DC cinematic universe properly. But I digress. Like I said, I'll be another 30 minutes pleading with DC to give us something different when I've seen the Batman. So not to say that Batman's gonna be bad. I'm pretty sure Matt Reeves is gonna do a wonderful job, and Robert Pattinson may play a year one Batman. And the fact that the Riddler kind of looks like Zaz, but again, no judgment. I will wait till the movie comes out. But the last thing you guys are going to talk about though is Invincible. That now with the whole thing being revealed, the wife now knows that Omni-Man did kill everybody. He did kill the Guardians, and now he's trying to convince her that it's not possible. We still don't know what happened to the tailor after Omni-Man visited him. I think he might have taken a long walk off a short pier personally, because he actually has the evidence of the suit, which actually contains the particles from all the Guardians he fought. Which is interesting.
Now, I don't think he killed Art, because that'd be way too obvious.
Yeah.
And we know he's not going to kill his wife, because we even saw he's like, crap, she knows.
His wife checked him. We saw that.
Oh yeah. But we also can't forget that this show does deviate from the actual series too. So, stuff's out the window, but I don't think he killed Art, because too many people in both sides of the community know who he is.
Yeah.
And the moment they see the suit, or find out what had happened to him.
Yeah, it'll be different.
The series itself is actually kind of a little bit of a filler episode, because this is just Mark not working it out with Amber for the upteenth time, and this time it's college edition.
Yeah.
We do meet somewhat of a major player for in DA, whatchamacallit.
Oh, the guy, the scientist that basically turned everybody into mechs.
Reaniman.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're right. It was a filler episode. The whole thing of him Mark trying to play Superman, trying to play a superhero, but also trying to play a boyfriend, finding your best friend, find out your identity. He kept on. That's what I was like. For a costume, he just kept staring at him. All of a sudden, he's like, Mark. He's like, shut up. This is the whole. I am literally fighting a monster. You're calling out my identity. I'm looking down at you like, could you just shut up right now and get out the way?
Honestly, I'm a little ticked at Amber, because I would have totally believed somebody had to go get the cops because campus security wasn't doing anything. But I found that to be a perfectly legitimate excuse.
Yeah, you would think so, but let's be honest. You had to introduce that. You had to introduce that teenage drama of trying to save the world, but at the same time trying to have a relationship. We knew that was coming. But no, overall, yeah, it was a filler episode. Probably the next episode will basically pick up where it's left off from there. I'm tripping off the fact that Robot really has a thing for Monster Girl. He wanted to save her, but Black Samson called BS on that immediately. He's like, so you were saving Monster Girl. He said, I would have done the same for everybody. Really? So you would have killed one of your clones trying to save my tail? He He said, right, okay, I'm going to go back to the tower and look after things. You just sit here. That's how I was tripping off that part. I said, okay, because Black Samson saw right through that. But then again, we still know what Robot is trying to do, especially with the genetic material that he gathered. I mean, is he still growing clones at the same time? What the angle is from there. So
no, I think I know what it is.
Oh, do tell.
I think he's trying to resurrect Immortal.
Oh, the Immortal that the kids talked about. You drink from the skull of Immortal, you get his powers.
No, Immortal was one of the global guardians. I think he's trying to resurrect it and find out what happened.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The one that can't die. Supposedly, the one that supposedly could not die. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I know you're talking about now. But it'll be interesting because it's interesting to see where they go from there. I still think it's going to come to a head. Will the wife tell the son that your father's a murderer? Will she tell anybody? Or, where does it go from there? But he's got to change the name Invincible because he is getting his... I mean, I get the name is supposed to be a shtick to the entire story, but I'm like, dude, you are getting your behind handed to you in almost every episode. I thought Kick-Ass was terrible, but come on, man. But... Before we do, if I could find words, that'd be great. I've been tongue-tied for the better part of the day. But before we do wrap this up, I did want to point out the shirt that Joe has on because we do cover wrestling sometimes here on this podcast. I myself am a wrestling fan. WWE all messed up. I mean, don't get me wrong, Samoa Joe, if you don't know who he is, number one, you've been under a rock. He is one of the most underrated wrestlers. Great on the mic. Because he was doing commentary for WWE for almost a year and a half. And for anybody that's not familiar with WWE when it comes post WrestleMania, they usually call it Black Mondays, Black Monday or Black Friday. Reason being because WWE likes to look at its overflowing talent roster and go, we can get rid of people. And unfortunately, as of today, Samoa Joe, Billy Kay, Tucker, Mickey James, Peyton Royce, which I thought was interesting, was also released. Along with, technically he was actually released beforehand. Andrade El Dolo, he was actually released a long time ago. And it's funny that I kept waiting for Aleister Black to be released because his wife was ceremoniously fired from WWE almost a year ago because she wanted to form a union. She said the word union and got fired, which I thought was crazy. But again, Samoa Joe and like a handful of others got let go, and I'm just thinking to myself, as a wrestling fan, that is great. That is great because WWE has actually shelved a lot of talent. AEW has done nothing but show off the talent. New Japan is definitely signing new people in Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling. Because yes, I still watch Impact Wrestling. It's sometimes good, sometimes terrible. But hey, what else can you do on a Tuesday evening? Except now because now NXT's on Tuesdays. But I guess I'll be watching two different shows. But no, there's gonna be a lot of talent being released in WWE, and it just means that a lot of wrestling promotions are gonna be able to pick up new talent and hopefully show some new stuff from there. But Samoa Joe is one of my favorites, especially just because of the crap talking he used to do. I mean, he was smooth with it. But no, Joe. I saw your shirt and I thought about that today. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna. I mean, I remember him when he was in the Impact Zone, when it was here in the Asylum in Nashville, when Jeff Jarrett was running the promotion. And then he got Dixie Carter on board and basically swindled her out of her family's money and it was able to move the whole thing to Florida. I know there's going to be a lot of Carter fans like, yes, that was true. He swindled the Carter family out of nearly $30 million just to move his, not only to move the TNA, because before it was Impact, it was called TNA. I don't know why they ever changed it to T. I don't know why it was ever changed because TNA was definitely an eye catcher. Which was actually known for its Knockouts division, which was actually pushing women's wrestling a lot more than WWE was at the time because WWE was still in the Divas era. The bra and panties match, the Jello matches, anything for us to not get borderline fined by the FCC kind of matches for women. So again, it's going to be interesting to see where they go from there. I did like Peyton Royce. For all those that don't know, she is married to Sean Spears, formerly Ty Dillinger of WWE. He's now known as the chairman of AEW. So Peyton Royce could actually go to AEW. Chelsea Green, who was also a part of NXT, got released. She's actually married to Zack Ryder, who is actually now a part of AEW as well. So
I think he's going to ESPN though.
Which one? Joe?
Chelsea Green.
Say it one more time.
Was she the one going? Was she one of the one that was always at the commentator tables?
Chelsea Green, yeah. Yeah, she was always the commentator.
She's going to ESPN.
Oh, wow. So she's going to have a nice job. Okay.
Now, if Joe goes over to AEW, they can form the main event Mafia. They almost have all of them there again.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, aside from just Joe being back there with Sting and everyone else, but that's the one thing about AEW I like right now. It's just like they let the wrestlers do their own promos. And don't get me wrong, some wrestlers have some crappy promos, but some wrestlers have some great promos. Because I still say to this day, the promo king is Chris Jericho. That dude is undefeated when it comes to promos. Because I still say to this day, if you truly ever want to know how to get over, this man made a clipboard get over faster than a wrestler did in a promotion. I'm like, WWE was literally selling clipboards with the list of Jericho on it. Clipboards that you can get from Office Depot or any place else. WWE is selling them with that wording on there at $50 a pop, and people were buying them. So that just goes to show you the power of promotion if you know how to do it correctly. But anyway, I just want to say a little tidbit. Because I'm a fan of wrestling, and like I said, WrestleMania was kind of crappy except for two spots. But then again, what we expect is Vince McMahon. But with that being said, we definitely going to go wrap it up here. Joe, anything that you want to let anybody know or promote what you're doing?
Yeah, still playing Monster Hunter, trying to get Illumidron's armor, except this time high rank.
I can't wait. I can't wait to start playing that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I just actually waiting for it to download on my Switch right now, but Comcast is not being very helpful. But then we're not going to talk about Comcast because they're actually running. We're actually running on the stream right now, so we're not going to talk bad about Comcast.
Yeah, just my normal stuff on Total Justice Gaming. I'll probably put a video up shortly. I'm just kind of in holding pattern, trying to get some stuff going.
I understand.
We just got a couple decks. I just got to build decks and whatnot.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
I just can't wait. I just finally can't wait to play Monster, and I've been looking forward to it. But anyway, before I do get out of here, guys, like I said, the link at the bottom, if you copy and paste that into your browser, will take you to my link tree for all of my shows, their Facebook and YouTube pages. So definitely like and share and let people know about them, especially with my shows, How the Frack We Got Here, GitBit that you're currently watching right now, and of course the Off Limits Podcast. Let me not also forget my buddy Big BZA who's also shared this. I know he is working like a dog right now, so hopefully, dude, you're taking a rest. But my buddy Big BZA also on Facebook and all social media, definitely give him a like, share, and let him know because he is definitely going to be podcasting in. I think he's starting to get used to the idea of podcasting on Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesdays, if I'm correct. Vaughn, if you're still watching this, let me know if I'm right or wrong. But anyway, definitely check him out from there. And aside from that, guys, like I said before, if you like what we did, please let me know. If you didn't like what we did, please let me know. We do try to invite people, so like I said before, this is open forum. As you can see, I invited Joe, and Joe's been a part of this, and I appreciate that. But if you're also one of those that want to be able to join the discussion with us and have a talk with us, then we would more than likely love to have you. That did not sound right. We would love to have you. Would love to have you. I know my wording is terrible tonight. We would love to have you. So if you have a webcam, of course, as long as we can see and talk to you, because we want to see your handsome face, or pretty face if you're a girl, or they, if you, however you prefer to identify yourself, definitely come join us here on the podcast. So just let me know. William McKenna on Facebook. and I'll go from there as far as setting you up, because like I said, it's all about having a great discussion over multiple things, because a fandom is nothing more than something that you're caring about, that you're passionate about, and as Joe mentioned earlier in this podcast, it is not a problem because it's not an addiction, because you have to admit that you have a problem, and he does not have a problem buying comic books. He is just an affluent shopper. So, with that being said, guys, I do want to say please be careful, please be safe, especially with COVID-19 out there. The world's not ready to open up yet. Still wear masks and social distancing. Get the shot whenever you're able to. And take care of each other and each other, and we'll get through this. But for Joe and myself, guys, thank you for watching the podcast tonight. And if you're watching this on the playback, please comment if it's live. I still want to know you guys what you think. Aside from that, have a good night, and we're out. Peace.